Hello, welcome back. All right, Brandon Media Strategies. Rock,
Hello.
hello, rocking through this. Uh, we have this week and then next week spring break, so you have extra time to work on these projects with spring break coming up, which is nice. Nice little break in there. If you look at your assignment due dates, 422 seems like it's years away. But then when we come back, we are on the downhill and we have to finish up our project and one last project and you're out of here. All that's good. So I will go over no artifacts and low res on Thursday. But what I want to talk about today is, and I think it should be, it is the unique stand-up. A unique stand-up. How do we do a unique stand-up? So first of all, in talking about the unique stand-up, is it's unique in that it's a stand-up for your brand delivery, not anybody else's, nothing new. It must fit within your creative brand guidelines for this project. I've got a blue background. It should probably have a blue background. I'm using bottles in a flower form. I should use the bottles in a flower form. I'm not adding anything new. I'm not changing anything. I need to now create a stand-up that would go inside a store, Walgreens, Walmart, wherever, Target. There we go. I was looking for Target. To stand in front of an aisle near the products, near the soap products. Remember, we're advertising the soap products. The main product of Dr. Bronner's is their magic soap. I always want to say Castile soap, but they took the name Castile out of there, I think, with a new design. And so this would be there. Now stand up. This may be new. I think some of you have taken the exhibit design course, but this may be somewhat new. And so let's kind of go over today some thoughts and regulations or ideas behind this. First one I want you to think about is scale. So it's a stand-up, and this is a person. I scale things to the average human person. And right now, I think if I do my document, my artboard is set to 72 inches tall by 36 inches wide. 72 inches tall is 6 feet. So the average person, we kind of say, is like 6 feet or just under 6 feet tall. I find it very useful. Clients find it very useful to put in an image of a person next to your design so you can grasp the scale of the design and how big or small certain information may be within your design. It's very hard if we do, which you can do. This is the other one. I either do it full size. 72-inch document isn't too crazy to work on. Or you can do something is the width be 3. I just choose 3 as a starting point. Now you don't have to be 3. You got to think like 3 feet wide. And then I'm going to do 6 inches. So I have inches. So I'm referencing this now from 1 inch equals 1 foot. If that's easier for some people to work in, you can do it that way. This one is just referenced in, I'm going to copy and paste everything. This one is just referenced in actual size. So if I go copy and I go to here and I'm just showing you, paste remember layers, and I paste in and apply to all, ignore, I don't know. And then I'm just going to scale everything down very quickly. As you can see, it did not like that I had an image. It didn't have a link. So, but then I just scale this down again, and I make my person 6 inches tall instead of 6 feet tall. And then I reference from there. we're referencing human scale with these because we want to know what it will look like. We want to understand the proportions as well. There's no place that would let you have a stand-up be 6 feet wide. You know, if you're like, oh, I'm gonna just take my my poster and scale up only the poster, you would have like 6 feet wide by 7 feet tall, and they'd be like, what are you kidding me? We're not putting something 7 feet wide in our store. It's going to block the entire aisle. So you have to think smaller. We have to think condensed. Tall and vertical is generally the best way to go with these. Again, we don't want them short. So you look at a person, this is in scale. And then I also do stuff like, this box is probably here for a reason, is this box is 12 inches by 12 inches, which means if I stack it, and what I'm going to do is turn this one a different color. And then I stack these. And it doesn't have to be exact. And I stack these. What I'm getting is a visual reference of what each foot looks like. So I did it on the side, so I know in general. And then you could, this is great experimentation, because you will have to do this in the future. Generally, you do have to make bigger things in the future. And you start thinking, and you look on your wall, you know, find an open wall and get some real loose tape, unsticky tape. And you can mark your wall. 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot, 5 foot, 6 foot. And then when you're standing around, you visually reference, well, probably from this point to this point, unless it's really big, it is just there. That's from ground to 1 foot, 1 foot to 2 feet. Nobody's going to be scrunching down or wanting to get on their knees to read any information below a 2 foot area, right? That's why I say, like, mark this on the wall and be like, okay, I should probably keep my information higher around the 3 foot and higher area. We can go higher with our design. I would say probably 7 foot is probably a good cutoff, which would be one more. We don't want to go crazy and be like, I've got this, you know, just like width. We don't want anything so wide it's taking up an entire store aisle. And we don't want something so tall that it's like, you know, sort of like easily knocked over or it's obnoxious in height. But if you've got something very interesting at the top, maybe, and it comes down, that'll work. But in general, I wouldn't put any very important information below the 2 foot mark. That can be what we call, you know, like filler. Here, it's the bottom of the bottom. Do people need the read down here? Not really. I've got my little item up here, and I could put more, you know, I could put more information in this box. It does get low. Yes, mine gets low. I could kind of, if I wanted to, which, you know, you ask the client, can we modify what the bottle looks like if I take out these top lines and kind of like move everything up? Sometimes that is legal, but you always have to ask the client, can I modify the look of your project from this to this in order to raise up the messaging on this? Would you mind if I did that? And then they say yes or no. But all those things are asked from the client. You ask them if you can do stuff like that. We just don't do it because it's, you know, it's like that personal stuff. I don't just take, you know, nobody takes the image of you and puts it on the social medias and squishes it and adds, you know, goofy stuff without asking you. This is their rights. They own this. You don't modify without asking. For this project, I'm going to be, in the middle. It's got to be modified well in order for it to work. So that's what we're talking about. Do you need to, show every product? No, not necessarily. But you can have some fun and be creative with how you display in a stand-up. I did the first thing that came to my mind, which was just a tall, big bottle. I thought it was kind of cool. And I think then I was like, oh, you can add, the weird flower pattern that I added, and then maybe it'll be cut out. It will be die cut. So you have to think about die cut. I do not want this piece to be just a big block that ends. Like, I would die cut it. And so if you're die cutting, we will end up having to create our die line, which is the Art World version of it's like the art board, but for something that's cut out. And that would be, in the end, like after next week, when you get your project done, you'll be like, okay, and then it's going to have, this is the die line, and I'm going to go around and trace it. Get up this so you can see it. You know what I mean? So then we'd have a die line, so the client knows, like, it's going to get cut out like this. Mind me just doing this sloppily. Is the background going to be there? No, I think I want the bottles, and I'd go through and do a really nice die line that fits whatever. So the client then understands how it is cut out from its background as well. So that's another thing to think about. You can go crazy with the die line, or you can do very flat, just like a column, like a banner style. If I go to, let me open some up. Come on, open up. Sorry about that slurp. There we go. And I go up to this one. I'll show you in a second. We're looking at this one where they referenced that stuff. They referenced the height of the person. They have all their information up high. They found a way to kind of like rope it in using the soap within the soaps. It's creating, and then there we see it. So these people are short, but they're having fun. It's lifestyle pictures, but no information is down here. We just see people having fun. All the information is up above, high enough for you to read and possibly to see a little bit above, these shorter aisles here. So this is what, the stand-up is. Their stand-up is just this archway. It would be printed on cardboard, folded, sent to the department, and then it's got an easel back already made on it, and then they just kind of unfold it. They prop it up for that 1 week, and then they take it down and they throw it away. That's what happens to these things. They just get thrown away the week after. So this is another example of that kind of stand-up. If you look up in-store images, haha, I gotta stand up. I'm getting comedians. Oh, cardboard. Yeah, they're called stand-ups, but I get a lot of pictures of comedians. But you can do a little search online to find out some more in that direction. So that's like the newest part. Again, talking about last week, and the biggest part about this with branding and brand consistency. Oh, I'll just keep this one. Talking about this one is every piece is using the exact same elements, just in different arrangements, making them fit as they need, So here's tall, and then they reordered it for the long, same images. So when I see one, I know that it's all part of the same celebration. Nothing here is different. Nothing changes. There's no like, I went from a green background to a blue background to a pink background. It's all, based around a logo, the idea of soap rainbow, and two people interacting. And then they have their fonts. But it's just as simple as that. A cohesive brand, managing a brand that you are creating for a campaign. And it just goes across. How do I modify? Oh, the student made this tighter arch, which I'm not sure if it's the same arch here. They may have had to accentuate some things to get it to fit, and then move it, accentuate it for each one of the processes to get it to work and fit the way that they want it to. So that's the big one to understand too, is I don't want the stand-up to look any different than anything else that you're creating when you start creating the stand-up. So that's why we go through this process of creating a logo, figuring out a logo base, then working on that logo and experimenting with it and making sure that that logo rendition is the one we want to use. And then we build out what we say the poster or the flyer first. And once we do that, we do the one. Everything else falls in line. We're not doing 7 different pieces. We're doing 7 pieces based on the same brand continuity, which is, the main, very important part. And that's like the main part to really understand with this. We may want to be like, well, I've got new ideas for this, that, and the other. Not anymore. Like once you kind of settle in, and you just you keep your brand. Because if you got to this point and you're like, oh, I want to add green to this logo right here. Well, then I have to add green to this logo here, 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 here. Like you have to add it everywhere. You can't just add it to one point, because what happens is the continuity is broken. You're adding a new element in which people will then stand out and say, kind of be like, hey, why is this one different? Are they advertising something different? Is this new? I'm a little confused. I thought this was for why does this one have green leaves and nothing else does? People notice those things. This is, oh God, like dare I even talk about stuff like, the internet trolls of even when somebody adjusts a logo a little bit, and how crazy people go about like, oh, they made an adjustment to the logo. Oh my God, my life is ending. I'm never buying that product again because they changed the logo a little bit. So that's, again, why we go through this and why it's understanding that it is a brand campaign. We keep everything the same. Now, again, while working on it, whatever clues and best practices you can figure out in order for you to mentally understand the sizing of it is great. If you have a tile floor in your house, say your kitchen has a tile floor, you generally the tiles are 12 inches by 12 inches. You can measure one to make sure, just get a ruler, measure it. And then you can be like, this is going to be, 2 tiles by 6 tiles. How does that look in comparison? I've used that with my family in trying to describe bigger items. I'm like, look at our floor. Each tile is 12 inches. Like it's 2 of these by 4 of these. Does that help you understand the size? And like, oh yeah, okay, perfect. Because not everybody can kind of grasp that really quickly. So we want to make sure that we're sizing things appropriately, not too large, not too small. There's the joke, like the Spinal Tap joke with the markings of 1 inch to 1 foot. You make sure that that's all correct. But those will help you. Go online. If this helps you, go online and type in vector people standing and just grab something. Grab something for free. Whatever you want. Images. You click on one. this is good enough. Like you just grab it and then you make like the tallest person 6 feet tall and you use it. And that's just your reference. How does my piece look in reference to somebody else? We're pretty good at referencing the posters and the flyers. It's handheld, you know, it's on our computer screen and it's handheld. It's pretty easy. When we get to something bigger like this, sometimes we might struggle with that for how to set it up and make it seem like it's in proportion and then it reads well. So use those as clues. Break it up into a grid if you want. You know, it's the other one. Break it up into a grid like I have here, knowing like 2 feet and below. No important information. Mild information goes up here. Really important information up at eye level. Like, so you can break it out and think of it just like that. It's the hierarchy of design. Where do we want people to look? How do we want to grab their attention? And how do we move them to see things more clearly or see what we want them to see? So that's the big one moving forward. I think the rest of the designs are pretty straightforward when it comes to these. Poster flyer you've done, the website opener screen, nice, simple, clear. I think we looked again, they changed theirs since we started. Oh yeah, the cherry blossom. I gotta find that. I'm curious about how it smells. You know, but this is where yours is gonna go. That's the website intro. And bold, look how much fun they're having. You know, bringing it to life. Hey, it's Earth Day. We've done social media posts. It's just that general square. The reason I do the general square is it's used on like, I want to say like 90% of posts. You can't go wrong with the square. And we're not doing animated and or animated posts. So, and then billboard, got to make it big and proud. The billboard is very similar to the website opener. Big, bold, easy to read. The less information, almost the better for billboards. We want people to read it and know that Earth Day celebration, blah, 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 April 22nd, it's coming up. You know, like big, bold, easy to read. And then a unique stand-up to guide people inside the store to get what they need. Is there any questions, comments, or concerns about any of the pieces moving forward with this project? All right, awesome. I'll be checking on your progress a little bit later today. And I will see you, I guess, on the discussion boards. If you have questions, just email me, contact me, however, you know, the 1,000 ways to contact me. Let me know what's going on. We will cover off on artifacts and low-res imagery on Thursday. And then Friday starts the spring break. And we will be off with a nice little break. Nothing new is assigned. All this is due after that. So cool. Well, thank you very much. And I will see you on the discussion boards. Take care.